We'll open it up to questions.
Cool. We're good. Yeah.
Go ahead, Daryl.
Yeah, Joe. Several times this year, Cal's talked about that you guys don't really have guards that can beat their guy off the dribble, take them to the rim, and so forth. When you don't have that, how do you compensate? What's the workaround on that? I would assume it'd be crisp passing and ball movement, but I wanted to ask.
Yeah, I think obviously basketball and especially pertaining to your question and on the offensive end is something where you have, a plan of trying to score baskets, and I think that there's ways that you can try to score baskets, whether it be, in some isolations, kind of like you saw us do even the end of the game the other night where we were posting the ball, run ball screens to, try to get two guys to play one, or some sort of mix of all of those. I think for us offensively, I think you're still trying to figure that out, much like every single year. When you have new players, when you have a group of new people playing basketball together. And that's a little bit of obviously our struggles, and I think that probably could go all the way back, potentially even to the summer, where these guys weren't allowed to play basketball together, due to the rules of everything that they were presented with. So much of basketball is, me and you, Daryl, playing together, and I know what you're going to do before you're going to do it. You know what I'm going to do. I think you're going to zig and you zag because we haven't played together, and I think that offense is such a, you would say a feel sometimes, and even from a coach. The coach in basketball can call the wrong play, but the players can make a great play out of it, just by making an individual play. Just like the coach can, call a great play and it just don't look good because the players can't make a shot, So I think it's a little bit game to game. It's a little bit situational, based on the other team and how they're playing our big men, how they're playing gaps, how they're playing our ball handlers. But, I think for us, it's still, continuing to try to figure out what best fits this group.
I think Tom Brady knew where Gronk was going to be last night a couple of times.
Yeah, those guys are pretty good.
Yeah.
Tom Clay will come to you next.
Joel, I know you're a young coach, but you're on a staff, yourself included, who've had so much success over the past few years, and you're on a staff where those guys have had all kinds of success over the years. What's it been like for you guys as a staff to go through something like this? Are you banging your head against the wall? Do you have to try to get away from it for a while? What's it like for you guys when you come to work each morning?
I think for me, and I can speak for myself, I find myself, continuing to pinch myself that I'm an assistant coach at the University of Kentucky. I feel like I'm one of the more blessed people to work for a Hall of Fame coach that has a big heart, that cares about people, our staff included. I get to work with a group of young people that are driven, that want to be great in their profession. And I get to work with other really good basketball coaches. If you're in this sport, you are aware that you can have great seasons, you can have mediocre seasons, or you could have poor seasons. I think that the reason that you get into coaching, the reason that I get into coaching is to provide a transformative experience for a young person or a group of young people that will change their life similar to the way mine was changed by basketball. We're all very lucky to even be playing this season, I think. And myself, I'm lucky that I get to come to work today. Personally, I didn't have to come to work or get to come to work for a period of time recently. And, it's not fun. I feel that I'm extremely blessed to be healthy. I'm extremely blessed to be able to work at a university that is, world-class in so many different areas, to work with a great athletic department, to work with great people and to be able to sit down in front of, how many people, Deb, are we looking at here? 22 people that care about what we do. And I get to go to practice today and work with a group of young people to figure out how we can achieve their dreams. So John, I hope that answers your question, but when I come to work, I feel lucky and still driven, to provide, everything that I can to those 16 kids in that locker room to give them a great experience.
Yeah, it did. Thanks.
Jared Tipton will come to you next.
Yeah, Joel, I wonder how, I'm assuming you guys have tried different things to try to get the offense going, and in particular in the late game execution. What's left to try at this point?
Well, Jerry, I check my mailbox every day to see if that Coaching 101 book comes in. And, I'm hoping that might be in the first chapter, of that book. But, I think that what we've got to do is you have to go back and continue to do what you always do is you have to watch the tape. You have to see what you did well, what you didn't do well, what individuals did, what they were supposed to do, maybe what they weren't supposed to do. And kind of going back to Daryl's first question, so much of basketball is based on what your collection of players on the floor does. So if, I'm supposed to be in a certain place and I'm not there, that changes how somebody else's responsibility looks, or how their performance is affected, whether that's on offense or that's on defense. So we have to continue to go back and check on our game plan, how it was followed, how it was executed. And then we got to prepare for obviously a very good Arkansas team, on Tuesday. But really right now it goes back to us, continuing to figure out what works best for our guys individually. How do we put them in the positions to be successful? And, and then how does that match up with what we see from Arkansas on Tuesday?
And as a follow, Joel, what's the mood of the team? Any concern about, just kind of throwing up their hands?
I think that there's obviously frustration, there's disappointment, because they don't like to lose. I think that would be, from top to bottom, is a group of guys that are working hard. They're trying, they're listening. And we just need some success. I think that there are, definitely instances of success within the game. We just have to have more of them. And we have to, continue to do them when a little bit of adversity hits. And I think with young people, young players, inexperienced teams, you start to see kind of the individualism creep in when there is a little bit of adversity. And we have to kind of continue to work with them on relying on each other, when there's adversity. If a team goes on a run, we can't then worry about, okay, my man can't score, or I have to go make a play. That's when you really have to rely on each other. So that's something that we've talked about and we'll continue to talk about. And we, like I said, we just need a little bit of that breakthrough. We need a little bit of luck. We need a little bit of everything to kind of break through at this point.
John Long, you're next.
Hey, Joel, I want to kind of piggyback off of John's question. I realize you're in a little bit of a precarious position to answer this, but Cal is known for bringing in assistant coaches who share his philosophies. I guess yes man is a little bit too strong of a word, but what are you guys doing specifically to maybe explore different strategies for this team and maybe think outside the Calipari box to maybe keep him on his toes a little bit more?
I mean, I'm not 100% sure I kind of follow your question. I mean, I think that we as a staff are always exploring, kind of different strategies to win basketball games and to work with our players to help them become better players, to put them in a position to have success individually, to have success as a team. I don't know that there would be a Calipari way or a non-Calipari way. I think that Coach Cal is a Hall of Fame coach that has gotten to this point by, doing things differently. I think if you go back and actually watch all 12 of his teams, they have not played the exact same, all 12 years. And I think that is something that anyone that is, a basketball or fan or media or coach, I think you can see that his teams have not been the same since he's been here. I think he's had different types of players. I think he's had different types of guards, different types of big men. They've played ball screens differently. They've ran offense differently. They've, pressed a little bit more. They've evolved a little bit from a defensive standpoint. So I think for us, it's, we're continuing to find the best thing for this team, and that'll be the same thing for next year. I think, and that staff.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think what I was kind of hitting on to is here you have this Hall of Fame coach, and you have an year in which you're struggling, and then all of a sudden everybody says that the game has passed them by. And I just didn't know how much input he sought from you guys, and whether you were looking at other avenues of this game changing and so forth.
I think that we're always trying to find the best kind of avenue or the best way to, like I said, to have success, for our players to have success, and I think that's always a very collaborative kind of effort, from Coach Cal. And I think that's something that, I've learned from him is, he's always open to have a discussion. I think we've had 3 phone calls before 10 o'clock this morning as a staff. So I think that's something that is one of his strengths, is that it's not all on him. It's our staff. And, we talked at halftime of the football game last night, so, it's something that we're all in this together. We're hand in hand, and we're trying to, like I said, get these young people to achieve their dreams and to achieve success. And I think that'll, happen, whether it happens today or tomorrow or Saturday or next, whenever. I think for us, this is a group of people that's determined to get better and to do it sooner than later.
Harold Bird, we'll circle back to you.
Sure. Thanks, Joe. I'm assuming you guys haven't talked to the team about the SEC tournament being your avenue to the NCAA tournament, but do you talk to them at all about, if Alabama, Missouri, Tennessee are the best, you should have beaten all 3 of those teams. Do you talk at all about that?
Yeah, we have, Coach. We talked yesterday even a little bit about it. I think you can take a look at the tape, and you look at that we've been in those games, really with the exception of, the Alabama game here. That one kind of got away from us a little bit, but definitely down in Tuscaloosa, the game in Missouri was one that, you're right there. And even the one the other night against Tennessee, arguably your top teams in the league, you're in the game and you're having success. And I think for the most part, we were following the game plan. And, our biggest thing right now is to just kind of find that spot of when there's a little bit of adversity that hits us, instead of us fracturing, all right, now we come together, and we rely on the team and we rely on each other. And that's the toughest thing to do, I think, for young teams, is when difficult things happen that we don't kind of get into our own little worlds, that we rely on each other. And, those are things that are very tough to teach. Those are tough things to learn. As a player myself, and I think for us, that's just, we have to continue to try to instill that confidence in them to then have confidence in each other. Sometimes easier said than done, but that's our job.
Yeah. I assume, does that only come through winning games that way? You have to, like Cal's demonstrated performance, they have to see it happen. Because you did see a lot of hero ball down the stretch the other night when things started going sideways.
Yeah. I mean, Darryl, I don't know that I might disagree with you a little bit on that. I don't know that I would say that it was like hero ball. I think it's more of, with this group, it's, they do want to win. They want to do well. So the way that sometimes inexperienced young guys think is, well, I want to win, so I can go make this play. I'm a good player. I have confidence. I want to go make this play. And I don't think that that's a hero or necessarily selfish. I think it's them not knowing or not understanding at this point in their career, or being able to have done that in the past. When you are the best player on the floor, you are by far in your high school or your grassroots team, you can just go put your head down and go make a play. Now there's better coaching. There's other really good players on the floor, and it's going to take a team effort, at times. And sometimes that's shooting, sometimes that's creating, other times that's being in help side defense and not saying, well, my man's not going to score right now. I'm going to do something to help you. I'm going to do something to help the team. And that's really something that we're focusing in on right now is how can we continue to become a better team?
John Clyde, we'll circle back to you.
Joel, Arkansas was struggling there for a couple of games, got blown out back to back, and then they've turned it around. I think they've won 4 out of their last 5, and that one loss was a tough one at Oklahoma, down to the wire at Oklahoma State. What do you see out of Arkansas?
Well, I think they're a team that's obviously playing better. They've got an exciting style of play. They're mixing games a little bit with some of their defense. And they're getting some younger guys or not even younger guys, some of their newer guys that maybe even weren't even playing earlier in the year that have stepped up. So I think for us, it's going to be a game that, we're going to once again have to have some guys make some individual plays. We're going to have to play great team defense. And I think if we can guard, I think we can, keep the ball in front, compete on the backboards, and then get out and fly a little bit in transition. I think we can have some success. But it's a game that I think that, you hone in on both ends of the floor today. We, once again, give our guys some confidence in the game plan and hopefully, we come out ready to play on tomorrow night.
Barry Tipton, go ahead.
Joel, I wonder about Arkansas. How much do you think they're going to try to go one-on-one, kind of spread the floor, and how much will, one-on-one defense be a key?
Well, I think that ultimately it comes down to that, with how good of a defensive team we've shown that we can be. I think that there are plenty of positive kind of takeaways from our defensive success. I mean, you're not in the top 20 in KenPom. You don't trip and fall into the top 20. You're doing some really good things defensively. So what happens then is when you do have a good defensive team, people's actions are broken down and they kind of just turn to one-on-one. And that's really kind of basketball on both ends of the floor, is at some point the play is going to break down and it's going to be, can you get a stop and can you create, for yourself? Can you create for a teammate? So I think that we've got to be ready like every game to be able to guard the ball. And I think, Coach Musselman has historically done a really good job of finding mismatches. So we've got to be aware of that heading into the game is where are the potential mismatches? How do we, and the emphasis on we, how do we help each other and work together so that we don't get kind of exposed by their offensive game plan.
And I wonder about Connor Vanover. How unusual a challenge is he to deal with? Yeah,
I mean, that will be unique, obviously with his size and length around the rim. And I think they do some unique things defensively to keep him around the rim. I think offensively, he can stretch the floor as well, and shoot jump shots, and probably not going to get a lot of block shots, or with him around or on the perimeter. But I think with all big guys, offensively, you've got to find ways to attack their body, to take away that height and that length. And, I feel good, about where we are right now with some of the things that we've discussed early on, and, we'll get after today in practice and see, like I said, how our guys, look with the early game plan.
All right, Jeff Drummond, finish this off.
Hey, Joel, you had mentioned earlier about trying to instill confidence in the players and in each other. I would think that maybe you have something to build upon with Keon Brooks. What can you do to kind of add to what he did in this last game and help some other guys based on what he was able to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think Keon's performance the other night was something that we all had hoped to have seen from him. Maybe a couple months sooner, and obviously with circumstances that have presented themselves, much like they have for other guys on this team this year. Nonetheless, it was exciting to see him play well. It was exciting to see him leading in timeouts, that other people maybe don't see, fans or you all don't see. That's what this team needs. We need someone that's telling guys, hey man, take that shot. We need someone that's saying, hey, let's get this stop right here. Let's get a couple stops. Let's pull together. And Keon has the ability to do that the same way he does to be able to get 20 and 10, in a game. So yes, I mean, I think that it gives us confidence. Hopefully it gives Keon and his teammates some confidence as well, that we can build on for that. As we head into a nice little stretch of games here, as we finish up, the regular season.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.